What is up, everybody? Welcome back to youtube.com/RajFormer. My name is Roger Picorni, also known as @RajFormer on the internet. Let's talk about something specific. Konami. Yes, you might have heard. Some news stories came out today that they are going to be halting AAA development of most of their video games except the PES series, which is a soccer video game series. I'm not in Europe, so I don't really know about this. But yeah, no AAA games, so no more Metal Gear, no more Silent Hills, none of that stuff. They just have a clean slate, and they're going to be working on various other projects like pachinko machines and their various gambling endeavors in Japan. This is not confirmed as of yet, but it is reported by various major outlets. So I'm going to be taking this with sort of a grain of salt, but I'm going to be acting like this is completely true for the sake of this video. So if this is true, let's look at it from this perspective. Konami hasn't been the company you've wanted them to be for a very, very long time. You know what I mean? Like, Castlevania has not been the series that you've wanted it to be for very, very long. I mean, it was like a God of War ripoff, and then it was sort of good, and then it just got really bad. And then, you know, Contra has just been dead for over a decade. Silent Hills has been dead for a very long time until, of course, the resurgence of it with PT, and everyone got excited, and I loved it, and it was like everyone's like game of the year sometimes. And then that just died, and then the whole Kojima removal that everyone talks about, the whole breaking up between Kojima and Guillermo del Toro. So there's just so many things that not only been happening in the last few months to year, but have been happening for years and years and years before. A lot of people forget about that stuff, but yeah, Konami has just been super weird for the past few years. It hasn't just started with Metal Gear Solid 5 and Silent Hills. In terms of Konami's current lineup, we just had the release of MGS 5, and now we're having the release of MGS Online, which should be coming very, very soon, and PES just released a few days ago, which probably got Konami very excited because they probably had to do minimal effort to get a ton of money. So the thing about Konami is that even though they've created MGS5, which is this amazing masterpiece of a video game that some people are saying that might be one of the best video games of all time, and we might look back at it as not only maybe a story or gameplay masterpiece, but probably a technical masterpiece. Even that video game, which a lot of people love and given 10 out of 10s, has super controversial features. I mean, aside from the microtransactions that everyone talks about, the game has super weird dealing with story. The story's kind of set away to the side through cassette tapes. Now, we don't know if that's Kojima or Konami's doing, but it is super weird nonetheless, and the game has some really weird quirks that people were not necessarily expecting. But I mean, even if Konami hasn't been the company that we've wanted to be for so very long, it is super sad to see it go. I mean, this company has created some of the most seminal video games of all time. I mean, back in the day with arcade games, Contra, they have a bunch of fighting games, but now with, you know, Metal Gear. Metal Gear is probably one of the most influential franchises, and also Silent Hills is one of the most terrifying video games of all time. So to see all of these franchises just kind of disappear into the ether, and maybe we won't even see them ever again, is really heartbreaking. I feel like I've never even been able to really experience them because I've just recently hopped onto the Metal Gear and Silent Hills bandwagon, but for a lot of hardcore fans, this is devastating. You know, I say that and I mean it sincerely, but then sometimes I look away and I think about it, maybe this is a blessing in disguise. When I talked about all those reasons why Konami isn't a company that we've liked for a very, very long time, none of those reasons had to do with the developers. They were all squarely on Konami's business management. Konami seems to be the root of all of its problems. Konami seems to have a thing for microtransactions, and they seem to have a thing for micromanaging and trying to really be adaptive to the new gaming landscape by ruining franchises. I mean, look at Castlevania. It's become God of War with a Castlevania skin on it, which I don't think is what most hardcore fans have been wanting. I have no water in my mouth. I'm feeling kind of happy right now that all these developers can kind of break free of the Konami mold, because so many reports were coming out around the time of Kojima's leaving that Konami was a super militant place to work for. There was rumors about having CCTV on them at all times, having like 10-minute work and lunch breaks. There was even some rumors about Konami creative people that are being demoted down to janitor level for just missing a few deadlines in order to be embarrassed in front of their peers, which is so heartbreaking and disgusting. These are all reports, of course, but I wouldn't put it past Konami that they did this. I mean, Iga went to freaking Kickstarter and built Bloodstained, which is one of the most successful Kickstarter campaigns of all time. And guess what? He's making Castlevania. Even though it's not called Castlevania, it's Castlevania. And I feel like Metal Gear Solid can live on totally in the minds of Kojima and the heart of Kojima with another studio. I feel like Kojima can totally go to any developer or publisher he wants and just be like, hey, if you guys have the money, I need $80 million, I need this, I need this, I need this, and if you give it to me, I'll make you a game in 5 years. No promises. And they would give that in a heartbeat, because Kojima is one of the best and most creative minds in the video game industry, so having him in the title of one of their games would sell millions of copies, but Konami doesn't understand that. But then, on the other hand, I am also very excited to see where Kojima and the likes of all his other friends are going to be going in the next year or so. So what do you guys think about this story? I just feel like it's super weird and sad that this is happening, but then again, there is some positive to every single story. My name is Roger Picorni, also known as @RajFormer on the internet, RajFormer.com. Bye!